I was lying awake at 17 inches the morning, staring at the ceiling, replaying every problem in my life over and over, when one quiet thought suddenly hit me. When did worrying ever actually solve anything?
Welcome back to God Showed Up Stories. Tonight's story is for anyone whose mind never seems to stop racing. The people carrying silent anxiety. The ones constantly overthinking every situation, every bill, every relationship problem, and every uncertainty about the future. Sometimes the heaviest battles aren't visible on the outside. Sometimes they happen quietly inside a person's thoughts. And if you've been emotionally exhausted from worrying about everything lately, this story is for you. Before we begin, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who may need encouragement tonight. And comment below. What's one thing you've been trusting God with lately? No matter how overwhelming life feels, never forget this. God never asked us to carry tomorrow by ourselves.
For most of my life, I thought worrying meant I was being responsible. If I worried enough, planned enough, replayed situations enough, maybe I could somehow prevent bad things from happening. That's how my mind worked, constantly thinking, constantly preparing, constantly trying to stay one step ahead of disaster. At first, people even praised me for it. You're always so organized. You always think ahead. You always handle everything. But what nobody saw was how exhausted my mind had become, especially after life started getting harder. Within 2 years, everything seemed to pile on at once. My mother's health started declining. My husband's work hours were reduced. Inflation made groceries feel more expensive every week. Unexpected repairs hit us constantly. And somewhere in the middle of trying to hold everything together, my mind stopped resting completely. Even when life was quiet, my thoughts weren't. I worried while driving, while cooking, while working, while trying to fall asleep. Every night felt the same. I would lay in bed replaying conversations, bills, future fears, worst-case scenarios, and what-if situations over and over until my chest physically hurt from anxiety. What if we can't afford this? What if my mom gets worse? What if something happens to the kids? What if things never improve? The exhausting part about worry is that it convinces you you're accomplishing something when really it's just draining you slowly. But I didn't realize that yet. I just kept carrying it, quietly. My husband noticed eventually. One night he reached over while we were laying in bed and softly asked, "Are you ever actually resting anymore?" I laughed it off at first, but deep down, I knew the answer was no. Even during peaceful moments, my brain kept searching for the next possible problem. One afternoon, my younger daughter asked me if I wanted to play a board game with her after dinner. I remember telling her, "Maybe later, sweetheart. Mommy's thinking right now." And the look on her face stayed with me all night. Because the truth was, I was always thinking, always mentally somewhere else, always emotionally unavailable, because my mind was stuck living inside future fears that hadn't even happened yet. Eventually, the constant anxiety started affecting me physically too. Headaches, exhaustion, tension in my shoulders, trouble sleeping. Even simple decisions started feeling overwhelming because my brain never stopped spinning. Then one night, everything finally caught up with me. I woke up around 3 in the morning and immediately felt panic in my chest before my feet even touched the floor. My thoughts started racing instantly. Bills, health fears, future uncertainty, everything all at once. I walked quietly into the kitchen so I wouldn't wake anyone up, and sat alone at the table in complete darkness, except for the dim light above the stove. And suddenly I just broke down. Not dramatically, just tired, deeply tired. I buried my face in my hands and whispered, "God, I can't keep living like this." That's when something unexpected happened. Not a loud voice, not some dramatic miracle, just a quiet thought that settled into my heart so clearly it stopped me cold. When did worrying ever solve anything? I sat there staring at the table afterward because, honestly, I didn't have an answer. All my worrying had never prevented hardship. it never created peace. It never fixed tomorrow. It had only stolen today from me over and over again. And for the first time, I realized something painful. I had become so focused on controlling everything that I had stopped truly trusting God with anything. I still believed in Him, but emotionally, I was carrying life like everything depended entirely on me. That realization humbled me deeply. I remember quietly crying at the kitchen table while praying differently than I had prayed in years, not asking God to instantly fix every problem, not begging for complete certainty about the future, just asking Him to help me let go, to help me breathe again, to help me trust Him one day at a time instead of mentally living in disasters that hadn't even happened. The next morning, nothing in my life had magically changed. The bills were still there. My mom was still sick. The uncertainties still existed. But something inside me slowly began shifting. For the first time in years, I started catching myself whenever my thoughts spiraled into panic. And instead of feeding the worry endlessly, I began praying through it, quietly, honestly. Sometimes all I could say was, God, I give this to you again. Over time, small things slowly changed inside me. I started sleeping better. I started noticing peaceful moments again. Sunlight through the windows. Coffee with my husband in the mornings. My daughter laughing in the living room. Simple things I had been too mentally overwhelmed to fully enjoy before. One Saturday afternoon, my daughter asked me to play that same board game again. This time, instead of saying, maybe later, I sat down immediately, and halfway through the game, I suddenly realized something. For the first time in a very long time, my mind felt present. Not perfect, not worry-free, but present. And honestly, that moment felt healing in a way I can't fully explain. The following months still brought challenges. Life didn't suddenly become easy, but my relationship with fear started changing. I learned that peace doesn't come from finally controlling every outcome. Peace comes from knowing God is still with you even when outcomes feel uncertain. I also realized worrying had quietly stolen so many beautiful moments from my life. Moments with family, moments of rest, moments of gratitude, moments where God was already carrying me while I kept acting like I had to carry the entire world myself. One evening, my husband looked at me during dinner and smiled softly before saying, "You seem lighter lately." And I realized he was right. Not because my problems disappeared, but because I finally stopped worshiping fear. Looking back now, I think God showed up for me in one simple but life-changing realization. Worry was never protecting me. It was exhausting me. And maybe someone watching this tonight needs to hear that too. Your mind was never meant to carry every possible tomorrow all at once. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to breathe. You are allowed to trust God with things you cannot control. Because at the end of the day, when did worrying ever truly solve anything? But peace? Peace can change everything.
If this story touched your heart today, comment below. I'm giving my worries to God. And if you've been carrying anxiety, fear, or emotional exhaustion lately, please remember this. You do not have to carry tomorrow alone. Take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who may need encouragement tonight. Thank you for spending this time with God Showed Up Stories. And always remember, God always shows up right on time.